When was the last time you played a game that felt like it just wanted you to have fun? I don't just mean a game that is fun, I mean a game that seems thrilled, eager, perhaps, to grab you by the hand before showing you everything it has to offer with a gleeful sense of childlike excitement. Honestly, other than maybe a few Mario titles and a handful of early mobile games, I can think of very few things that feel like this. I think it's understandable why. Finding the fun, if you will, is a tricky process. It requires developers to frequently kill their darlings, scrapping huge swathes of concepts and functionality for the benefit of something that is largely elusive and open to individual interpretation. Severed Steel is a game that puts fun first. Fun without limits, fun without consequences, a wild, exhilarating game that's an absolute riot. You play as, well, it doesn't really matter. A woman with a Metroid-style cannon for an arm, who's as comfortable performing wild acrobatics in the air as she is sinking a bullet into a bad guy's brain. Is there a story? I guess so. Something resembling a narrative is communicated via silent comic book panels at the end of every chapter, and although they look great, they're practically useless. You are someone on a quest to do something, kill a person, maybe a bit of revenge, no doubt. It doesn't really matter. What matters is what you do in between these story beats, and what you do is a whole lot of fun. In Severed Steel, you have primarily one goal: kill soldiers. You do this by shooting them with a large variety of guns, but here's the problem. Playing Severed Steel like a traditional arena shooter will get you killed pretty much immediately. Thankfully, you can make yourself completely invulnerable by diving, sliding, or wall running through the game's tightly compacted levels. As long as you're performing one of these 3 feats of agility, bullets will simply pretend you no longer exist, zipping through you as you soar through the air. But remember what I said up top about Severed Steel's dogged determination to find the fun? Well, right-clicking slows time to a crawl, enabling some good old-fashioned Max Payne-style bullet time. Combined with the diving, the sliding, the goddamned flipping, you spend 99.9% of your time with Severed Steel flinging yourself through the air, popping heads like you're the star in the world's most grotesque ballet. Tying this gameplay loop together are the guns themselves. Each gun only contains a few shots, and once empty can be flung towards enemies to temporarily stun them. Fresh weapons are automatically hoovered up into your hands, although any gun can be manually picked up from the corpses of enemies if you fancy wielding something specific. Having guns hold a limited amount of shots is a smart decision, one that forces you to keep moving towards enemies even during intense firefights. As long as you're near a bad guy, you're safe in the knowledge that the bullets can keep flying. The result of all this is one of the finest action games I've played in a while. It's very much a hodgepodge of ideas lifted from elsewhere, the weapon mechanics feel very super hot, the bullet time is pure Max Payne, the movement feels like Mirror's Edge by way of Vanquish, but when merged together, the result is something truly mesmerizing. Severed Steel is a very expressive game. It's not entirely concerned with things like fail states. Although you can die, very easily in fact, it's also just as easy to remain in a constant state of flow, flipping and diving to maintain your essential invulnerability. With death a minor, rare even, inconvenience, you're very much left to experiment with the abilities the game affords to you. And my word, what abilities you're given. On top of all the flips and the slow-mo, you can do things like steal guns from the holsters of enemies who are still alive. An action movie trope so simple, it's bizarre I've never seen it in something else before this point. Nothing feels as slick as sliding past a heavily armoured bad guy, lifting his pistol from his waist before using it to take down a room full of his mates in quick succession. Twisting the mouse backwards will allow you to perform a nauseating backflip, which is mechanically unnecessary but cool as fuck. Look at this, completely pointless, I love it. Oh, and that arm cannon I mentioned earlier? Well, clicking the middle mouse button launches a powerful orb of energy that can blast holes in the environment, granting you homemade vantage points to mop up any enemies. Everything is destructible, in fact, with both friendly and enemy bullets causing holes to appear in walls, doors, and windows. By the time you're done, every single level ends up resembling the lobby scene from the original Matrix, a canvas painted with the shrapnel of your stylish slaughter. You can also kick, a powerful kick, one that breaks armor, smashes shields, and launches doors with enough force to flatten any poor souls who dared to stand in their path. More games should have a kick button. Big kicks in first person feel amazing. The story mode is brief but exhilarating, moving you through small levels at a decent clip. With 2 or 3 objectives to complete, there's not a huge amount that gets between you and the shooting, and the whole mode feels more like an extended tutorial than a full-blown adventure. Before you know it, it's over, and it's here that the real game begins. Firefight mode is where Severed Steel shines. All levels from the campaign can be replayed, this time with a combo meter, a handful of optional objectives, and a score that's awarded to you when everyone is dead. Points contribute towards a global level system, with higher levels unlocking new weapons and modifiers. Severed Steel is a game of mastery. At its core, it almost has an arcade mentality. It's a game about repetition, about beating high scores and experimenting with the mechanics afforded to you by the developer. It's Tony Hawk's Pro Skater with a gun. That's maybe the stupidest comparison I can make, but it's sort of the most accurate one I can think of. If that sounds wild and rad, then Severed Steel is a game for you. Firefight is potentially endless too, with an easy-to-use level editor enabling players to share their own maps that can be downloaded and then played from within the mode itself. There's not a huge amount there just yet, but it's exciting to think I can keep dipping back in to find new content waiting for me at any point. Visually, the game keeps things simple. Brightly coloured enemies are contrasted against block colour environments, allowing you to pass the action at all times. A carefully placed headshot blasts a wave of pink light across the arena. Holes blasted in walls drip with molten metal. It looks spectacular. It sounds great too. The game's soundtrack is a pulse-pounding delight that gives proceedings a cinematic vibe. Audio design in general is fantastic. Each kill is denoted by a hollow thud that gives the violence a crunchy weight, and all guns sound suitably vicious. To be honest, I sort of knew I'd enjoy Severed Steel the second I first laid eyes on it. Fast-paced acrobatic shooters are kind of my jam. What I wasn't expecting was a game that felt so determined to let me have fun. It's not a long game, you'll have seen everything it has to offer in around 2 hours, but the lack of padding simply exaggerates the quality of the mechanics that lie at the heart of this wonderful game. I highly recommend this superb first-person shooter, the most fun I've had in months. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you're interested in more reviews of cool indie games, make sure you subscribe, like the video, and leave a comment. Thank you once again for watching, and I'll be back next week.